Hi, hello friends. Welcome back to Nightcore Narrative. Um, I'm Elvish. I am also sick as hell at the moment, but I needed to get this video out. So, please bear with me. I'm sorry. Um, Today we are discussing A Soul to Heal. This is book 2 in the Duskwalker Bride series. This one wasn't my favorite. We do have Magnar, which we don't know is Magnar until like halfway through the book. Well, not halfway, but he is the precious little baby that ends up helping Rhea whenever Orpheus is out, and she kind of like nurses him back, and we don't really know his name at the time because he has no name. So he is our main character of this book, and we have Delora. Delora is the bane of my entire fucking existence, and I swear to God, I have never seen a worse written female main character than this. And if you guys remember the Dream Harbor series, there's one character in specific that I don't like. I love her compared to Delora. Like, Delora is an asshole, and I cannot fucking stand her at all. But yeah, I ended up giving this book, I think, a 2.5 or a 3-star rating. I can actually, let me double check that, because I think I gave it a 2.5, if I'm being honest with you. It wasn't the worst. It was actually quite good on like the parts that Delora wasn't a part of, but at the same time, like, the book was so incredibly slow. I ended up giving it a 3-star. So this book did end up getting a 3-star rating from me. And you know, for starters and for context, the first book received 5 stars from me, so that does say something. But yeah, as I was mentioning, the book easily has one of the worst written female main characters that I have ever come across in a book. Delora is a character that tends to get worse as the story progresses and easily becomes a character that you grow to hate. She digresses so much throughout the story and honestly remains a very selfish, whiny, and insufferable person, but also partially abusive partner to Magnar. She spends the entire book complaining how he isn't giving her the companionship that she deserves, but also spends the entire book playing victim and chooses the strong, independent woman route, to the point where at times Magnar gets fed up and just completely walks away from the situation, which of course is when the victim mentality of why doesn't anyone ever love me come out. And that really happens a lot in this book. Now, I will be honest, the last like 5 chapters she does kind of grow a little bit, and there is very, 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 very little character development. I will give her the benefit of the doubt there. It does get a little bit better. Mind you, you have to read 45 chapters in order to find said growth, and it wasn't even really enough to really make a difference. She does kind of apologize a little bit to Magnar for being an asshole the entire book, but also, and mind you, I've been kind of busy at work the past few days, so I haven't been able to fully sit down and read. So of course I had my audiobook. Oh my god, it doesn't help that whoever, and I'm sorry whoever voiced Delora, I'm so sorry. You are probably an amazing voice actress, and you probably do other books so very well, but my fucking god, she literally embodied the whininess to a T. And I mean to tell you, like, it was quite literally nails on a chalkboard the entire time that Delora was there. Like, she whined the entire time. And maybe if I was feeling better, I'd be able to do it. But she was like, but Magnar. And I'm just like, oh my god, like, let me just fucking claw my brain out of my eye sockets right now. Like, it was so fucking insufferable. I could not stand it. That made my throat hurt so much more. Okay. Another thing that honestly rubbed me the wrong way. It was really okay. You know, this might not make sense to some, but it might make sense to others. So some might get offended, or some might be like, that's not right, and then some might understand. But we have the well-loved pregnancy trope in this book. I say well-loved sarcastically. I'm sure I'm very monotoned right now, and I'm so sorry. But everyone really seems to hate pregnancy tropes, and you know, it's not the worst for me. I feel like if it's done properly, then it's not the worst. This book could have been better. But anyway, as soon as her baby is born, Delora goes on this whole androgynous spiel on how they aren't born with gender, so they must refer to them as the pronouns they, them. But then, literally, not even a paragraph to a chapter later, she then turns around and gives them a very male-dominant name. Mind you, Delora did say something along the lines of, I would hate to refer to them as a boy if they're actually a girl. But then, why give them, like, a male-dominant name? And I understand, like, you're probably asking what the name is. It's Feodor. Like, Theodore, but with an F. It's Feodor, but it's typically, like, a male god. It is a male prominent and a male dominant name, but you're sitting here literally saying, I don't want to give them, or I feel the need to refer to them as they, them, because I would hate to refer to them as a him if it's a her. And so then they add, like, the political type of, like, view on it and start throwing in the androgynous, like, pronouns and everything, which is 100% fine. My main point, though, is why, as an author, are you going to make one character specifically say one thing and then turn around a paragraph later and say something completely different? To me, personally, that sounds like you wrote the pronouns and then you got up for like a month break, came back, completely didn't even read what you wrote previously, and then continued on with the story. It was very weird to me. It was very, very weird, and kind of like, okay, so now what happens if Theodore ends up being a girl? What happens then? Because I mean, yeah, you can fucking say, oh, my name is Faye, but they, like, what? But yeah, I mean, either way, it contradicted the entire previous chapter, which dragged on way longer than it needed to be. Which honestly kind of brings me to, like, my next point. This book was way too fucking long. Mind you, the first book was just as long, but the first book was so well written and so well described, and the characters were amazing to the point where I actually wanted more. But this book was about the same length, and it was way too fucking long. There were upwards of 50 chapters, and honestly not enough spice to fill up maybe even 15 chapters max. The rest of the story is just literally Delora whining about something new and choosing what to play victim about. You know, if you saw the first video, book 1 was mainly spent in Orpheus's house and outside, and they go to the demon realm, all of that. Yeah, cool. I can't even tell you what the plot is in this book. We get a little bit of conflict at the end. The demon god boss thingy, he comes forward yet again, and he kind of does the same whole spiel as in the first one. This time he kind of like threatens Theodore rather than Delora. Well, kind of threatens Delora, and it was basically like a copy and paste of the original thing. But we don't really have any conflict throughout the entire book. We have no actual real substance to the plot, so nothing to actually maintain anything. The plot was very dry and very long. Tell me why every single fucking chapter is like 20 to 30 pages long. Why? I would much rather, and this is me personally, I would much rather have an 80 chapter book when like the chapters are like maybe 8 to 10, maybe 8 to 12 pages long each, than have 45-minute to an hour and a half chapters when listening to an audiobook or even when reading, because I like to read by chapter. I'm not the person that, like, when I physically read, I read by chapter, so I don't want to like stop reading in the middle of a book, but when I no longer have interest in my book, or because like I have ADHD, so I have hyperfixations that come and go, and so like in the middle of reading my brain will start hyperfixating, and I'm like, okay, I would much rather be doing this instead, or ooh, I'd much rather be doing this instead. Okay, let me finish this chapter first. I look, there's 30 pages left in the chapter. Oh my fucking god. You know what I mean? And then at that point, if I force myself to sit there and read that 30 pages, then I no longer give a fuck about the book and I no longer know what's happening. So I like, me personally, I like shorter chapters, but it's just like, what was happening? I guess lastly, when the baby is finally born, we have to suffer through the entire chapter of Delora literally neglecting her child because she didn't understand or care for a different being. And mind you, yes, the baby did bite her. I understand that. But even after Magnar came forward and expressed how it was truly her fault that their baby kept attacking her, she spent the rest of the chapter yet again playing victim and verbally attacking Magnar. The story also ends with the author saying something along the lines of, this is why she won't have kids and she can't imagine how to parent or how a parent would react, but it was quite insufferable to read. And then that also brings me to another point. Like, if you literally have no idea how parents would react to certain situations, and if you truly have zero desire to have children, why would you write a book? Because that chapter and a half, I think it was like almost 2 chapters, it was quite literally Delora neglecting her child and being verbally and emotionally abusive to Magnar. And then turns around, and even though she like full on neglected her child for a few days, a month, I don't fucking know how long, she turns around and like says something, and the kid just completely forgets all the neglect and just goes over there and starts snuggling with her like it's nothing. Like, bro, like, if you don't know how to write something, please don't write it, because it just either turns out problematic or it just completely turns out something like this where it just was not a good addition to the book. And I don't know, I could have used without it. And I understand this was a whole like, oh, let me add the pregnancy trope because this is gonna end up something later on in the series. I get that, but research could have helped. Research could have helped for one, or you could have found a book that does the pregnancy trope that a lot of people enjoyed, and you could have possibly read those. Not to steal ideas or anything like that, but yeah. Also, some of the spice in this book was absolutely downright fucking disgusting. That's the last thing I'm gonna say because I really don't feel good and I'm gonna go lay down. Well, I'm gonna go get soup and then I'm gonna go lay down. But I am all for spicy chapters, and I am all for the dirtier the better, and I am all for anything you put in front of me. I have read some pretty dark fucking romance. I like morally gray shit. I'm good. Maybe it's because I don't like Delora, and maybe it's because it came out of Delora's mouth. It was just absolutely disgusting to me, and it made my skin fucking crawl to the point where I had to like pause the book and be like, what the fuck am I even reading? But mind you, she decided to do a good old Gluck Gluck 3000. And you know, when doing said Gluck Gluck 3000, you win a prize at the end. In which she decided to claim said prize at the end. Wink, wink. And I kid you not, in her whiny, insufferable voice. Now, she wasn't talking normal. She was literally in a whiny voice. She literally said, and I quote, "I drank it all and feel so full." I will repeat that for the kids in the back. Not kids, adults in the back. I drank it all and feel so full. There are so many fucking ways you could have said that. That was not it. And again, maybe it's because I don't fucking like Delora, but there are so many ways that you could have said that to make that so sexy and hot, but you had to say it that way. Fucking disgusting. No. Burn it. Burn it. Kick it. Eat it. Drown it. I don't fucking care. Get it out of my face. Disgusting. There was also something that Magnar said at the end, and I didn't write it down, nor did I care to write it down, but there was something at the end that Magnar said, and I quite literally basically threw up in my mouth. I was like, what the fuck? And it, like I said, it's not that it was like vulgar. Okay, well, I've said it before, like books have a tendency, some books have a tendency, and some authors have a tendency of writing books that are openly vulgar but disgusting. And vulgarity isn't necessarily, how do I say this? I don't know how to phrase this, but vulgarity isn't necessarily the substance itself, if that makes sense. Like, you have to put like intent behind it, and you have to put like feeling behind it, or emotion of sorts behind it, to actually give the vulgarity the correct meaning, if that makes sense. I don't know. Like, you can have a morally gray guy, and you can have a morally gray guy basically say something, and or like say the same thing that Magnar said, and it would be like, oh fuck, like that was really fucking hot. But then like you have like Magnar doing like what he did, it just like it didn't resonate well, if that makes sense. That's what I'm trying to say. Sorry, my brain is fried right now. I don't feel well at all. So all I'm saying, plot horrible, Delora die, Spice, it got to the point too where I think like the last 2 to 3 Spice chapters I literally just skipped. I have no idea what happened, because I would hear one disgusting line, I'm like, yeah, I'm fucking good. Mind you, the entire chapter was Spice, 50-minute long Spice. I'm on like 6 minutes in. So like I was like scrolling through, and at like 20 minutes still Spice, 25 minutes still Spice, 30 minutes, and I'm like, I'm good. But yeah, I will be reading book 3. I'm hoping that it does get better, but I will be reading book 3. That review will be coming soon. But if you guys like the book, let me know. If you guys don't like these books, let me know. And as always, I hope you guys have a very wonderful day, and please be safe out there, because holy fuck, I feel like shit. It went from 95 degrees down to 40 degrees. Oh, I don't feel good. But yeah, I hope y'all have a good day. Bye, y'all.